Hey folks, welcome back to Stoic Talks. There's a moment after rejection, a hollow silence that settles in your chest like the calm after a storm. That silence is thick with questions, with an urge to fill it, to scream, to beg, to tell them they made a mistake. And they expect it. Oh, they expect you to do just that. To reach out, to grasp for them, to hold on to whatever scraps they throw your way, proving that you can't handle their absence. They're counting on it, banking on it, waiting for you to follow the script they've set up because they've been here before, playing the same game with other people, other hearts, other lives. And they believe they've figured you out. They believe they've got you down to a science. Don't tell me, friend, that you fell for it already, that you poured out every ounce of pride, that you begged them to stay, that you tried to make them see your worth. Maybe you did for a moment. Maybe, in the thick of it, you thought you needed their approval to feel whole. But that's over now. That's not who you are anymore, not who you're choosing to be in this moment. Now you're about to show them something they didn't expect, something they've never seen. You're about to take the one action that will leave them reeling, unsettled, questioning everything they thought they knew about you. You're about to go silent, because silence is the one thing they can't control. It's the choice they never anticipated. They thought you'd unravel, that you'd lose sleep waiting for them to throw you a bone. But instead, you're giving them nothing, no explanation, no emotional breakdown, no begging, no reaching out, just silence. A silence that will haunt them. You see, they know how to handle anger. They know how to manage desperation. But silence, that's something else entirely. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that. They expected you to care more about what they think of you than how you see yourself. They counted on you chasing on, trying to patch up a hole that, deep down, only they could fix. They wanted you to fall apart for their satisfaction. But now, instead of you clinging to them, they're left with the emptiness, with the unanswered questions, with the silence you've given them. And that silence, it's hitting harder than any words you could have said. It's unsettling them, getting under their skin, making them question what power they really had over you. Every time you choose not to text, not to call, not to break that silence, it grows thicker, heavier, harder for them to ignore. Imagine it. They scroll through their messages, waiting for the validation they once expected, and they find nothing. They check their notifications, assuming you're just a message away, and it's empty, day after day, night after night. This silence of yours, this decision to cut the cord and hold back, has become a mirror reflecting their own choices, their own emptiness, their own lack of control. You're not reaching out because you're done handing them your power. You're done letting them dictate how you feel, what you say, and how much of yourself you're willing to give. They expected you to crumble, to break, to give in, but you're giving them the one response they can't touch: silence. Unyielding, deliberate silence. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Let them think what they want. They might tell themselves they made the right choice, that walking away was a victory, that you're the one missing out. But as the silence stretches on, those words will ring hollow, and they'll feel it. Oh, they'll feel it. In real life, this silence is like standing on the edge of a deep, still lake at night. They can't see the bottom, can't predict what lies beneath. They're left staring into that silence, haunted by what they don't know. Your silence is not just stillness. It's a storm beneath the surface, a force they can't anticipate or control. Maybe you reached out before. Maybe you thought you needed to prove yourself, to convince them that you were worth it. But now you're about to show them that your worth doesn't depend on their approval. They'll have to face the truth. You're not the person they thought they could manipulate or define. You're not the person who will fall apart without them. This silence you've chosen, it's freedom, it's power, it's their reckoning. Number 1, anchor in the void. They expected your silence to be nothing more than a passing phase. They thought it was just a delay, that sooner or later you'd come crawling back, reaching out, needing closure or validation. But here's the thing, they didn't understand. This silence of yours isn't emptiness. It's a shield, an unbreakable fortress, and now it's your greatest weapon. Think of it like this. They're standing there waiting for the noise, for the drama, for the mess of emotions they can use to twist the narrative. But instead, they're met with a wall of silence. And that silence? It's like the deepest part of the ocean. They can't see the bottom. They can't predict what's lurking beneath. It's unsettling, confusing, terrifying. That's the power of silence, because what they can't see, they can't control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That's where you are now, in a place where they can't reach you, a quiet that they can't break through no matter how hard they try. This silence isn't just stillness, it's depth. It's that vast space where you reconnect with your strength, where you find that no external validation, no outside opinion can shake the person you are becoming. Imagine your silence as armor. Every second you hold back, every moment you choose not to respond, is another layer of that armor, a shield they'll never penetrate. They thought they could break you, thought you'd be the one drowning in regret, begging for another chance. But instead, they're left staring into a void they can't decipher, a silence that holds a power they can't touch. You see, silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. It's the calm before the storm they'll never see coming. It's the realization that you're not here to play their game anymore. They'll try to bait you, to pull you into petty arguments, to provoke you just enough to crack that calm. Let them try. Every time they reach out and hear nothing in return, every time they look for a reaction and find none, it's a reminder that you're beyond their reach. You've become something they don't understand, a force they can't manipulate, an energy they can't predict. Picture this. They're standing in the middle of a battlefield, ready for the fight, armed with all their usual tactics, expecting you to charge in. But instead, they're alone with nothing but the silence you left behind. They're stranded in a space where their words have no impact, their games no longer work. And that silence, it echoes louder than any words could. And this silence of yours isn't passivity, it's active power. The Stoics taught that the highest power is self-mastery, the ability to choose your response rather than react impulsively. Epictetus said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. By choosing silence, you're refusing to let them pull you into a reaction, refusing to hand them the power they crave. You're not ignoring them, you're controlling the narrative. You're standing in a power that's so complete, so grounded, that it leaves them rattled. They expected you to break, to reach out, to hand over your peace. Instead, you're showing them that your silence is an immovable force, that you're anchored so deeply in your own strength that nothing they do can shake it. They're the ones on unstable ground now, scrambling to understand this unbreakable shield of silence that you've wrapped yourself in. This is the kind of silence that doesn't just end a conversation, it rewrites the entire story. It's the silence that says, "I'm done playing your games. I'm done giving you control. And they're left to watch as you pull back your energy, reclaim your peace, and stand strong in the quiet. So let them wonder. Let them sit in that void, questioning, guessing, and waiting for a reaction that will never come. They expected you to follow the same path as everyone before you, to fall apart, to be predictable. But your silence? It's like a black hole, absorbing everything they throw at you, leaving them with nothing but their own insecurities and doubts to wrestle with. And here's the truth. They'll feel this silence. Oh, they'll feel it in ways they never anticipated. Every time they replay what happened, they'll be haunted by the fact that you chose silence over reaction. They'll question what it means, wonder what's next, and feel the weight of their own actions as they sit in the echo of your calm. Because this silence, it's a mirror. It's reflecting back every choice they made, every game they played, every wound they tried to inflict. So here's what I want you to do. Hold steady. Every time you feel the urge to break that silence, to reach out, to give them a piece of your energy, stop. Remember that this silence is your power. It's your strength. You're not ignoring them. You're choosing yourself. You're anchoring in a peace they can't touch, and you're letting that peace speak for itself. They may never understand this silence. They may never realize that it's not weakness, but resilience. And that's fine, because this silence isn't for them. It's for you. It's the shield you're building, the boundary you're setting, the choice you're making to protect your energy, your worth, your peace. Affirm it with me now. My silence is my strength. Drop it in the comments. Let it be your mantra, your declaration, your unbreakable shield. They thought they knew you, thought they had control, but now they're the ones feeling the weight of your silence. Let them sit in it. Number 2, harness the pain. Forge it into power. They thought they left you broken. They thought that the pain they caused would be your downfall, that you'd sit in the shadows, hurt and paralyzed. But here's the truth they never counted on. Pain isn't your end. It's your fuel. That ache, that sharp sting of rejection, is about to become the fire that forges you into something they can't touch. You're not hiding from this pain. You're facing it head on, using it to build yourself into someone they'd never recognize. Because pain, real pain, is the kind of teacher that no comfort zone can ever provide. It strips away illusions, pulls you out of complacency, and forces you to see yourself raw, unfiltered. And while they may think they wounded you, they have no idea what you're capable of when you harness that hurt. The Stoics believed in turning every obstacle into an opportunity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Right now, that pain, it's not a barrier, it's the path forward. It's the fuel that will push you through the limits they tried to place on you, that will carry you to heights they never saw coming. Imagine every pang, every memory, every reminder of what they did as a weight you're lifting. At first, it's heavy, unbearable even, but each time you confront it, each time you choose to hold it instead of letting it crush you, you're getting stronger. They didn't leave you with emptiness. They left you with something you can use. Because pain doesn't have to be destructive. In the hands of someone strong enough, it's constructive. It's transformative. Think of it like this. They handed you a pile of ashes, expecting you to mourn over it. But instead, you're building something out of those ashes, something they'll never have access to. Every painful memory becomes a brick in the foundation of the new version of yourself, one they can't knock down. This pain they thought would break you, it's becoming the walls of your fortress, the strength of your resolve, the fire in your spirit. Pain is a forge, and right now, you're being tempered into steel. It's not easy, but that's the point. Easy doesn't make you strong. Easy doesn't make you resilient. And while they might be off somewhere, thinking they got the best of you, you're here in the forge, enduring the heat, becoming something they can't touch. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." You're finding out exactly what you're made of, and so are they. They're going to see a version of you that's not just healed but transformed. A version of you that doesn't just survive but thrives. They thought they were the ones in power, but the power's been in you all along, waiting for the right spark to ignite it. And here's the thing, they'll feel the impact of this transformation. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day they'll see what they unleashed. Because the person who walks out of this fire isn't someone they'll be able to recognize or control. The pain they caused you will become a force they'll never forget, a strength they'll wish they'd never underestimated. Picture this. Every hurtful word, every betrayal, every bit of disrespect they threw your way, it's all fuel. It's all energy you're absorbing, not to hold on to, but to transform. Just like the phoenix rises from the ashes, stronger and brighter than before, so will you. But this time, you're not coming back the same. You're emerging as something new, something sharper, something undeniably powerful. So let them believe they left you in ruins. Let them think they won. Because while they're moving on, you're building up. While they're out there, unbothered, you're here, fortifying yourself, creating a foundation that nothing and no one can shake. Pain was the spark, but you're the fire. You're the one who decides how bright you'll burn. And this time, you're burning for yourself. This is your moment to take every scar, every disappointment, and turn it into your strength. Every time you think of what happened, of the way they left you, use it as fuel. Remind yourself that you're not the same person they left behind. You're becoming someone who doesn't just survive pain, but uses it to rise higher than they ever imagined. Affirm it with me now. I am forged from pain. Drop it in the comments. Let it be your declaration, a reminder that this pain isn't the end. It's the beginning of a power they can't take from you. Hell yes, let them feel it. Number 3, shatter the need for their validation. Let's be real. They had you hooked on their approval, didn't they? They made you feel that without their validation, you were somehow less, that you needed their acceptance to feel complete. And that's exactly what they counted on. They kept you on a string, waiting for their next word, their next move, their next nod of approval. But here's where the game ends. The truth? You don't need their validation. You never did. Their opinion doesn't define you, and their acceptance doesn't add an ounce to your worth. The only person who gets to decide your value is you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This is your moment to flip that script, to shatter the need for their approval and place your worth firmly in your own hands. Imagine for a second what it would feel like to be entirely free from their judgment. Picture yourself unchained, no longer weighed down by what they think or feel about you. That's real freedom, the kind of freedom they never wanted you to have. They wanted you to crave their validation because that kept you small. It kept you waiting. It kept you tied to their whim. But now you're walking away from all of that. Their opinion is nothing more than a shadow, an echo that fades the minute you stop giving it weight. They don't get to define you anymore. Not in this chapter. Not in the person you're becoming. By stepping back and shattering the need for their validation, you're reclaiming yourself in the most powerful way possible. You're saying, I don't need you to see my worth for it to exist. I don't need you to approve of me for me to stand tall. Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Wanting their validation is a form of poverty, a poverty of the self. Real wealth is needing nothing from anyone else to feel whole. And that's exactly where you're heading. You're creating a version of yourself who is rich in self-respect, grounded in self-worth, untouchable by anyone else's opinion. So the next time that nagging thought creeps in, that urge to prove yourself to them, shut it down. Remind yourself that your worth was never theirs to define. You're shattering that need, breaking the chains of their approval, and walking forward with a freedom they'll never understand. Affirm it with me now. I am my own validation. Write it. Throw it out in the comments. Let it be a reminder that you are free from needing their approval, that your worth is your own. And let's push forward, because breaking free from their validation is only the beginning. You're stepping into a power that will reshape everything ahead. Number 4. Stand grounded. Refuse to be shaken. They're expecting you to be fragile, teetering on the edge, just one push away from breaking. They thought they could shake you, that you'd stumble, lose yourself, and maybe even come crawling back, craving their presence just to feel whole again. They're expecting weakness, desperation, a version of you that's easily swayed, easily shattered. But here's where you surprise them. This is where you show them the strength they never saw coming, the foundation they can't break. They've set the scene for your collapse, thinking they know your limits, but they're about to realize that your strength is deeper than they ever imagined. Because here's the truth. They have no power over you unless you give it to them. And you're done giving. Every attempt they make to shake you is about to bounce back off the walls of your unbreakable resolve. Think of yourself like a mountain. Wind, rain, storms, they come and go, but the mountain remains solid and unyielding. They might throw every tactic they know at you, guilt, manipulation, little attempts to get a reaction. Let them. Just like a mountain, you're not here to move for anyone else's storm. They're going to come face to face with your stillness, a strength so deeply rooted that nothing they do can reach it. The Stoics had a term for this kind of strength: apatheia, a state of inner calm where outside events, no matter how intense, don't disturb your peace. Marcus Aurelius said it best: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is your power now. You're standing in a place where they can rage, they can test, they can pull every string they want. But your mind, it's yours alone. They have no say here, no entry, no control. And every time they try to shake you, to provoke you, remember that this is exactly what they want: to see you crack, to watch you break, to get that proof that they still have some kind of hold over you. But they're not going to get it. Not anymore. Because every moment you stay grounded, every time you refuse to react, you're building a fortress they can't enter. Imagine them looking at you, searching for any sign that their words, their actions, their presence still affect you. And instead, they find calm. They find someone who has outgrown the games, someone whose peace is too powerful to be disturbed. They expected chaos, but you've given them stillness. They expected desperation, but you're radiating strength. This version of you is like a mirror they didn't expect, showing them that they no longer hold the power they once thought they did. Think about it. Every attempt to break you is nothing more than noise, a storm on the surface. But beneath that noise is your unshakable calm, a strength they can't touch. Epictetus said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And what they don't realize is that you're done suffering because of them. The only place they hold power is in their imagination, not in your reality. You're not reacting, you're not engaging, and that silence speaks louder than any words ever could. They're left standing there, frustrated, maybe even enraged that they can't get under your skin. They'll try again, testing for any cracks, hoping to find that one weak spot. Let them try. You're untouchable, standing firm in your own peace. And as they push, they're not finding the old version of you who would have crumbled. They're facing someone who is rooted in a strength so deep it's beyond their understanding. Picture this. Each time you choose not to respond, each moment you remain calm in the face of their attempts, you're setting the boundary that their games no longer affect you. They're hitting a wall of strength, a version of you they can't manipulate or control. And that is a reality they'll have to face alone. Because while they're busy trying to find an opening, you're grounded, focused on what truly matters, detached from the noise they create. Let them see this new version of you, the one they can't sway. Stand there like the mountain, solid and steady, and let them realize they're the ones wasting energy, not you. They're left with nothing but the frustration of knowing they don't have any impact on you anymore. You're unmoved, untouched, and this grounded strength of yours, it's going to haunt them. This is your moment to claim your peace, to show them that you're no longer affected by their attempts. They're the ones spinning in circles while you stand firm, grounded in a calm they'll never break. Affirm it now. I am unshakable. Write it down. Throw it out in the comments. Let it be your reminder that you are standing strong beyond their reach, and they're powerless against your calm. And hey, stay with me, because standing grounded is powerful. But this is just one piece. You're building an unshakable foundation that will carry you further than they ever thought possible. Number 5, invest in yourself relentlessly. They wanted you to fall apart, to spend all your energy mourning what they took from you, to lose yourself in that hollow space they left behind. But instead, you're about to take every ounce of that energy and pour it into the only thing that truly matters now, yourself. This is where you leave them behind, where you shift your focus entirely onto your own growth, your own dreams, your own future. From this moment on, every second you once gave to them is now invested in you. Every minute they expected you to waste in regret is now fueling your transformation. They wanted to be your priority, your center, your focus, but they've been replaced. Now, it's all about building a version of yourself that they could never match and will never have access to again. Imagine how it feels to redirect that energy, to pour it into your passions, your goals, your well-being. While they're out there assuming you're lost without them, you're building a life that's stronger, sharper, and more fulfilling than anything you ever shared with them. This is how you rise, by choosing yourself over the shadows of what they tried to leave you with. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's exactly what you're doing here. You're taking back every part of yourself that you once gave away, reclaiming every moment, every effort, every bit of focus. You're becoming the master of your own life, investing so fully in yourself that they'll be nothing more than a memory, a footnote in the story of your growth. So focus on your goals, invest in your health, nurture your mind, and work relentlessly to become the best version of yourself. Make them irrelevant to your journey. This is the real win, turning their absence into the spark that ignites your self-investment, your progress, your unstoppable momentum. Affirm it with me now. I am my greatest investment. Drop it in the comments. Make it a promise to yourself, because from here on out, you're your own priority, your own focus, and they're nothing more than a stepping stone in the journey you're building. Number 6, set boundaries they can't cross. Access denied. They once had free access to your heart, your mind, your energy, taking whatever they wanted and leaving chaos in their wake. They thought they could come and go as they pleased, treating your life like a revolving door. But that access? It's over. You're building walls they can't climb, setting boundaries they can't cross. From now on, they're denied access to everything they took for granted. Boundaries aren't weakness, they're strength. They're the line you draw that says, no more. They are the gates you close and lock, protecting your peace, your energy, your sanity. This isn't about being distant or cold. It's about preserving yourself. Epictetus said, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. You're not an open book for anyone to leaf through at their convenience anymore. You know your worth, and you're guarding it fiercely. Picture this. Every time they try to test the waters to see if they still have a way in, they're met with silence, with strength, with a solid boundary that says, access denied. They expected you to be an open invitation, always ready to listen, to forgive, to let them back in. But you're showing them something new, a version of yourself that protects your peace and refuses to give it away. They'll feel the impact of these boundaries. They'll see that they no longer have a front row seat to your life, that they're not welcome in the space they once occupied. And it'll sting, because nothing unsettles those who take you for granted more than realizing they no longer have the power to disrupt you. This is your space now, and not everyone deserves a place in it. You've become your own guardian, and they're on the outside looking in. Affirm it with me now. My boundaries are unbreakable. Write it down. Throw it in the comments. Let it be a statement of power. They've lost access, and from this point forward, your peace is protected by walls they will never cross. Number 7, let your silence roar with purpose. They're waiting for you to speak, to defend, to explain yourself. They're hoping for even a whisper of your reaction, a clue that they still have a place in your mind. But instead, you give them the one response they can't handle: silence. And this silence? It's not emptiness. It's a roar, an unspoken statement louder than any words. They'll try to provoke you, to bait you, hoping for the smallest crack in your calm. But each time you choose not to respond, you're showing them something they didn't expect: a quiet resolve, a strength they can't touch. This silence is deliberate. It's not passive. It's an active choice, one that lets them know they no longer deserve a reaction. It tells them without a single word that their opinion, their games, their attempts to provoke no longer reach you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Your silence isn't a surrender. It's a choice to rise above. You're not ignoring them. You're demonstrating self-mastery, showing them that their presence in your life has lost all power. Each moment of quiet is a reminder that you're done letting them dictate your emotions, that you've taken control of your narrative, and they're just background noise. Imagine it. Every time they search for your response, they're met with silence, and it hits them like a wall. Your silence has become the mirror they didn't expect, reflecting their own actions, their own emptiness back to them. And in that silence, they're left to face the truth they tried to escape. This silence of yours? It's the final word, the closure they'll never be able to twist or manipulate. It's a roar of self-respect and purpose that echoes louder than any argument. Affirm it with me now. My silence speaks volumes. Write it down. Drop it in the comments. Let it be a reminder that your silence isn't a void. It's the strongest statement you can make. Let it roar. Let them feel it. Let them understand that you've risen above. Number 8. Transform into a version they don't recognize. They thought they knew you. They thought they had you figured out, placed you neatly in a box with labels they felt fit. They believed that you'd always react the same way, respond to their games, be predictable, familiar. But here's where you prove them wrong. This version of you? It's someone they won't even recognize, a force they never saw coming. You're not just moving on, you're transforming. Every piece of you they thought they could control is evolving into something unbreakable. Someone who doesn't need their approval, their presence, or their validation. You're shedding the past version of yourself that tolerated, that waited, that played small for their comfort. Now, you're stepping into a power they'll find unrecognizable. This is your time to rise as someone new, someone they can't define, someone they lost the privilege of knowing. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." And that's exactly what you're doing now. You're learning, growing, expanding beyond the limits they tried to place on you. Every moment spent working on yourself, every choice you make for your own peace, every goal you chase without them, is a step further from the person they thought they controlled. Imagine it. The next time they catch a glimpse of your life, they're looking at someone who is calm, fulfilled, and fiercely independent. You're not the person they once knew, and they're left realizing that they've lost access to the best version of you. You've outgrown the role they tried to keep you in, and they'll never be able to reach the heights you're now climbing. This transformation isn't for them, it's for you. You're breaking free, rising up, becoming someone who doesn't just survive, but thrives. The person they once knew is gone, replaced by someone more powerful, more resilient, and more whole than they'll ever be able to comprehend. Affirm it with me now. I am unrecognizable. Write it down, drop it in the comments, make it a declaration. Let them see it. Let it be the statement of your transformation. You're becoming someone they'll never be able to define. Number 9, become the echo they can't forget. They thought you'd be a passing phase, a chapter they could close and walk away from, something that would fade over time. But you're not leaving them with silence or a quiet ending. You're becoming the echo that reverberates long after they're gone from your life, a presence they'll feel every time they think they've moved on. You're about to live so fully, to grow so completely, that your memory will become the reminder they can't shake, the one they'll feel in every empty moment. They expected you to disappear, to fade quietly into the background of their life. They assumed they'd forget you, as if your impact could ever be so small. But here's the truth. They can't escape. You're becoming someone they'll look back on not with satisfaction, but with regret. Every choice you make, every success you build, every bit of strength you show, these are the things they'll remember. You're not their regret for what they did. You're their regret for what they lost. Think about it. Every time they see someone with even a hint of the qualities you possess, they'll be reminded of you. Every time they look back, wondering what could have been, you're there in their thoughts, unshakable, an echo they can't erase. Epictetus said, "We are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens." And this time, you're the thought that lingers, the one that doesn't let them go. Imagine it. Years down the line, when they think of what could have been, they'll hear the echo of you, the strength you showed, the life you built, the person you became without them. And they'll realize they never had the power to diminish you. You're not fading, you're growing into someone unforgettable. Affirm it with me now. I am unforgettable. Write it down. Drop it in the comments. Let it be a declaration of your power. You're becoming the echo they'll hear forever, the presence they can't forget, the proof that you were always the one who made the difference.